Hello! Suqqu has just announced that they will discontinue their most recent blushes that are the melting powder blushes. These blushes for me are the best on the market. The reason why they are discontinuing them is that apparently there's shortage of some kind of raw material that they were using to produce these blushes. It shouldn't be a matter of pigments, because otherwise they would have been discontinued just a few shades, but it should be something related to the formula. And that's a pity, because this is a unique formula, and we will discuss about that. These are the two that I have. There are 10 permanent shades and several limited edition shades. At this point they are at 105. 105 is the latest and has been released recently for this spring summer collection. The ones that I have are the 04. It is this one that for me is the best in their permanent range, but we will go through all the permanent ones. And also I have this one that is 102, that, if I remember correctly, was from the spring summer collection last year. So why these blushes are so unique? The uniqueness comes from the formula, this glowy formula that does not contain glitters. They tend to develop art pen. You see, I have a little bit of art pen here. They are rich in oil, and that makes them kind of moisturizing. So this is number 4. So now I have artificial lightening on, and that's the best I can do because I am back from work and I don't have natural lightening, unfortunately. But I will provide you also swatches that I will do with a better lightening, closer to natural light. So this is number 04. It seems quite orange here, and it is a bit, but is more of a nude peachy color, something that you can put on every day. Is very, conservative of a blush. It can be sheared out very beautifully, and you get these particles that are not glitters, it's just a shine, a glow, natural glow. Then with artificial light you can see a few particles. You see here that they are blinking. You can see the kind of small glitters, but I can assure you that you won't have this effect on your cheeks once you buff this blush. So this is the permanent I have. I have a dedicated video about Suqqu. That was my first video ever, because Suqqu is my favorite brand, and as I said in that video, and we have the confirmation today, you cannot rely on permanent things with Suqqu, because as you can see, even the permanent shade can be discontinued quite quickly. So in this case it was a raw material problem, but I've experienced in the past other episodes like this of discontinuing shades, and usually shades that do not sell well, they are discontinued without announcing it. At least in this case, they did post an announcement on their official website. What I heard is that these blushes won't be produced anymore, but they may be restocks, because the ones that are currently in production, they will be distributed. So it's not something that will disappear tomorrow, let's say, but you will have some time maybe waiting for a restock, but I cannot guarantee that. So what I did was actually placing an order today. I found a few of the shades that I wanted on Harrods. So I picked 2 permanent shades and the 3 latest limited edition shades that I missed on Cult Beauty, so I ordered from Harrods. I want to swatch also this other blush, that is the 102. And this is more golden bronze. It's quite unique, it's more shiny, as you can see, compared to the permanent one, 04. So these are the 2 blushes. The staying power is average, in my opinion. They last a good 6 hours, but after the 6 hours they start to fade on me. So they're not as long lasting as other brands like Pat McGrath or Sisley. Those are the longer lasting on me. But what I like about Suqqu is the finish, because the finish is very elegant. They are very thin, so they do not add powderiness. and weight on your cheeks. So they are very elegant to wear. I even use them as finishing powders, colored finishing powders, because they are so thin that they can elevate every blush that is underneath. So usually I use a standard blush, that maybe a Pat McGrath one that is more powdery, to have that longer lasting power. And on top of that, I used Suqqu as finishing powder to get that glowy finishing effect. So what I would like to do with you is to go through all the blushes and give you my honest opinion about all the colors that are 10. So let's start with the blush number 1. I won't try to pronounce the names, I will put images. The blush number 1 is a lavender color. I skipped that. It's intriguing because it's very unique, but what I noticed from people that I observed wearing that blush is that it gives a gray cast. So it's not just a lavender blush, it's gray. Since it's not very flattering alone, most people combine it, mix it with other colors. Maybe it gives a more interesting effect, but since there's that gray cast that I don't like. For me, personally, it's a no, but it's very unique of a color, and very brave of them to introduce that color in the permanent line, even though, as we have seen, is almost a limited edition, you know. Number 2 is a rose color. That is the color I chose because it's flattering. Personally, I prefer more of a neon quality from a blush. That one, the number 2, is a rose blush on the cooler side. One of the few cool tone blushes in the line, because Suqqu blushes tend to be warmer in tone rather than neutral, and that I think is due to the target customers. This is an Asian brand, so it's not a surprise for me that they lean towards warmer tones rather than cool tones. But the number 2 is one of the few cooler toned blushes. Number 3 is a peachy blush. Honestly, is a common color, also quite close to number 6, that actually is the one that I picked. If you don't have a vast collection, you may consider it. For me, it was kind of redundant. These are not cheap blushes, these are luxury blushes, so I had to choose my favorite, and I chose to skip number 3 because it was quite of a common color. Number 4 is this one. For me, is a little bit warmer than I expected, and it's quite similar to number 9. I would pick just one between number 4 and number 9. Number 9 is very difficult to find, so I would go for number 4 if you want something that is nude peach or nudie everyday blush. Again, this is quite similar to Desert Orchid from Pat McGrath, not really unique of a color. And I also had a Valentino blush that I decluttered in shade number 9 Poudre, quite close to this one. Although this has developed a little bit of art pan, I can still pick the pigments, so no problem at all with developing art pan in the corner, as I showed you before. Number 5 is quite a unique color, is a nude orange. There's my friend Mariam that has number 5. It's very flattering on her and quite of a unique color, but she is warmer in tone than me. So on me, that I'm more neutral, leaning cool toned, that would translate to yellow. So it's quite of a difficult color to wear if you are on a neutral, cooler toned side, but very unique and flattering if you have a warmer complexion. Number 6 is an orange blush, brighter than number 3, and that is the one I also chose. I picked number 2 and number 6 from the permanent line in my latest order that I placed today. Number 6 is a summery blush, and it has even a hint of red in it. So I like that it's a reddish orange blush, more orange than red, but bright. And then number 7 is a raspberry blush, darker in tone with some plum in it. It's quite close to Pat McGrath Paradise Venus. For me, it's too dark, and the other problem I have with that blush, and the reason why I didn't pick it, is that color is the same on my cuperos, my red veins that I have on my face. So I tend to stay away from those colors because they emphasize my redness on my face. And then number 8 is another blush that Mariam, my friend Mariam, has. Is a terracotta brown. I tend not to gravitate towards those dark blushes. It's something I would have considered, but yeah, I'm pretty sure I won't use it. So it's a beautiful color, but it had too dark for my preference and my style of blush application. Then we have number 9. As I said, is the beige counterpart of number 4. Number 9 is very difficult to find. Number 9 and number 1 are the hardest to find at the moment. So in case I find a restock later on, I will pick it up, honestly, because it's a, everyday blush, is a beige color, but I'm not willing to pay extra to, import it from unofficial retailers from Japan that increase the price outrageously, So that is my strategy. If I found it in stock on the official retailers, then I will pick it up maybe. But yeah, I have no big hopes for number 9 to be restocked. Let's see. Then we have number 10. Number 10 is kind of similar to number 2, but a little bit more muted, dark, more plum. So is more of a fall color, and again, for me, that plum in it, that muted quality paired with the pink tone, with dark pink, tend to emphasize my redness on my face. So for me, whenever there's a hint of plum, it's of raspberry, is not for me. And I have picked number 2 that is quite close, honestly. And if you can't find them, no problem, there are plenty of blushes that are high quality. I think the closer to these are the Valentino ones. Valentino is a made in France formula. It's not baked gelée, but kind of reminiscent of this in sense that it's very hydrating. The problem that I have with the Valentino blushes is that they are fragranced. I would recommend to check my Suqqu, my video about Suqqu. You have a nice overview of the brand and my experience as a long-time consumer that buy the products. So see you in that video. Until next one. Bye bye.